Hey there, it's CJ Willie and I'm cracking a pack. Today is pack number 2 in Magic the Gathering Hour of Devastation Bundle Bingo. Check out my preview video for the explanation on how this bundle bingo will work. I've added that link to the preview video in the description below. So I've got my bingo card out. Pack 1, we weren't able to get anything. So let's hope that pack number 2, I've got all remaining 9 packs right here. Let's hope that pack number 2 nets me something really cool and I can mark off 2 bingo squares, at least one of the squares that I've got here and the free square. So let's zoom in and get this bundle bingo going. So as I open these cards and go through them, my commentary is going to be from a very casual, let me stress casual, Magic the Gathering player viewpoint. For most of the commons, I'm going to be looking at it really from a limited perspective, draft or sealed. Uncommons and rare, or hopefully mythic rare, would be from probably a more standard format, modern, pioneer, you name it. If it's a cool card, I'll talk about it. Maybe we can zoom in just a tiny bit more. Yeah, there we go. All right, so first card out of the pack is Aerial Guide, 3 mana, 2 and a blue. It's a Drake. It's a 2/2 flyer. When Aerial Guide attacks, another target creature gains flying until end of turn. So this you usually see in white with Wingmate Rock and some of the other white flyers. Blue got this ability, which sometimes doesn't quite make sense in blue because you already have a lot of flyers anyway. In limited format, I like this quite a bit. Unfortunately, because of the fast format, blue didn't really have much to say. But it is still a card that I really liked. Disposal Mummy 3, here we go, 2 in a row of 3 converted mana cost. 2 and a white, you get a Zombie Jackal at 2/3. When Disposal Mummy enters the battlefield, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. And I didn't really play this too much in sealed, didn't seem to fit in the aggressive style, didn't seem to fit in the zombie kind of deck, the white-black zombie deck as well. So not a card that I was too interested in. Next we have Aven of Enduring Hope. Aven Enduring Hope is 5 mana, 4 and a white. It's a bird cleric at 3/3 flyer. When Aven of Enduring Hope enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Now this card wasn't too bad. If you were a little bit behind because of the aggressive deck, it could come in and gain you some life. The problem with a Butter 3 is it died to just about everything, so it wasn't that great of a card. You really had to be able to get a lot of incremental life gain leading up to this. And then as a 3/3 flyer, which was maybe one of the bigger flyers at common, maybe you could do some work, but no. Sidewinder Naga, 3 mana, 2 and a green, Naga Warrior. It's a 3/2. As long as you control a desert or there is a desert card in your graveyard, Sidewinder Naga gets +1/+1 and has trample. So as a 4/2 trampler, this could do some work. Coming down on turn 3, the butt was a little small, so it died to just about everything. And the trample could get you 1 or 2 points of damage in, but really wasn't that great of a card either. Maraudi Bone Slasher, 3 mana, 2 and a black. So we've had 4 out of the 5 cards have converted cost of 3 mana. Zombie Minotaur, 3/3. Marauding Bone Slasher can't block unless you control another zombie. This card was pretty good. Didn't really matter if you didn't block because it was such an aggressive format. You were attacking anyway. So in a black-white deck or even a black-red deck, Zombie Minotaur is a good card. A 3/3 for 3, come down and just start attacking the next turn. Desert of the Mindful is another one of the desert cards at common. It's a cycle of them for each of the colors. Desert of the Mindful enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it, add blue to your mana pool, or you can cycle it for 1 and a blue. So you discard it and then draw a card. This cycle is pretty good. I liked it. Early game, if it was turn 1, you could play it. You'd had your blue mana there. Late game, if you needed to draw another card, you'd discard it through cycling and get a card that you hopefully could help you win the game. So I did like this cycle of common lands. Manalith, 3 generic mana. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. This is an artifact that I didn't like. I really wanted to play it, but you didn't have time because it's such an aggressive format to play this on turn 3 and then wait a turn and then start attacking. Usually you need to play something on turn 3 to keep you in the game. So even in older formats, it's not a card that I play too much because there are much better mana rocks to help you out. Thorn Moloch continues our trend of 3 converted mana cost cards, 2 in a red. It's a lizard at 2/2. It has prowess, and Thorn Moloch has first strike as long as it's attacking. So another key piece in the aggressive red deck. It seemed to go a little bit better in red-blue, but it could really work in red-white, especially if you had combat tricks. Turning this into a 3/3 first striker is no joke, and if you had a couple of smaller combat tricks, making this a 4/4 first striker was pretty good as well. Without weakness, 1 and a black, instant, target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn, cycling for 2 generic mana. Yeah, a combat trick that did a lot of work in any black deck that was black-red, black-white, even black-green. And if you didn't need it, you could cycle it for 2 generic mana later in the game, netted you a card. I liked it quite a bit. Unconventional Tactics, another 3 mana card. This is an uncommon. It's 2 and a white, sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains flying until end of turn. Whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 white. If you do, return Unconventional Tactics from your graveyard to your hand. This had the makings of a repeatable trick. The problem was at 3 mana, it just seemed a little too slow with sorcery speed. Yeah, you could get a big creature up in the air. I could never get it to work. I wanted it to work so badly that I tried in white-black zombies in draft and sealed. It just didn't pan out. And it's not really something that I look to play. I don't necessarily have a white-black zombie deck where I could get repeatable effects on this in like a Pioneer or Standard, or sorry, Pioneer or Modern based deck. Our next uncommon is Vizier of the Anointed, 4 mana, 3 and a blue, human cleric. It's a 2/4. When Vizier of the Anointed enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a creature card with Eternalize or Embalm. Put that card into your graveyard, then shuffle your library. Whenever you activate an Eternalize or Embalm ability, draw a card. So I've never been able to play with this card. It seems kind of busted, especially in the limited or sealed format of Hour of Devastation Amonkhet, where you could go and grab maybe your big bomb that you could Eternalize or Embalm, throw it into your graveyard, and then get a card off of Eternalizing and Embalming. Yeah, I didn't have an opportunity to play it in our play group. I don't recall if one of my friends played it either. So it's a card that if I had a Pioneer-based deck that had Eternalize or Embalm, it'd be something I'd try. But currently, it isn't anything that I have a deck in. Oh, well, I just spoiled our last rare, which is good news for us. So the final uncommon is Struggle to Survive. The first half of it is 3 mana, 2 and a red, instant. Struggle deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. So pretty good instant that can take out a lot of creatures, especially if you have 3 to 4 lands. I mean, that's right there, 3 or 4 damage. And then the aftermath effect, Survive, 1 in the green. Each player shuffles his or her graveyard into his or her library. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you're really getting milled out in what I remember of Hour of Devastation Amonkhet block. It was a little too aggressive to be milling people out. But the first half of the card is pretty good, and I did play it and like it. I mean, for 3 mana, you could be dealing 4 damage, 5 damage, 6 damage, depending upon when in the game you had it. And as an instant, taking out a creature, great uncommon. So I definitely liked it quite a bit. Since I did spoil our rare, yep, we've got one of the bingo cards. All right, 2 packs into it. Pretty good. Fraying Sanity. Fraying Sanity is 3 mana, 2 and a blue, enchantment or a curse. Enchant player at the beginning of each end step, enchanted player puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of cards put into that graveyard for anywhere this turn. I absolutely like this card. I didn't draft it. I don't know that anyone in the play group drafted or had it and sealed, but it is a workhorse. I currently run it in a mill deck, a mono blue mill deck, and it does a lot of work. Yeah, sure, it doesn't do anything immediately the turn it comes down, because typically I haven't discarded a card on turn 3, but starting on my opponent's turn, if they play an instant or any spell that goes to the graveyard, it starts doing work. And then on subsequent turns, I am milling them, or I'm putting cards into my graveyard, and so it does a lot of great mill work against my opponent. It's an absolute beast of a card. Awesome. So we'll mark off Fraying Sanity and mark off our square space, our free square. So that's pretty cool stuff. I think, yeah, we have all right, we got 2 squares today. So Hazoret's Undying Fury is a rare. let's get that thing marked off. This is one of our better bundle bingo packs. 3 squares today. Hazoret's Undying Fury, a 6 mana, 4 and 2 red sorcery. Shuffle your library, then exile the top 4 cards. You may cast any number of non-land cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them without paying their mana costs. Lands you control don't untap during your next untap step. So this is part of the cycle. Each of the gods had a sorcery that would allow you to do something. However, it would keep your lands tapped down on your next turn. So ideally, you need to be able to cast this to really do something broken. Hope you weren't dying the next turn, because it was going to be a turn after that your lands would tap, you'd be able to do things. I didn't have an opportunity to play with Hazoret's Undying Fury, so I don't know too much about the card. It does seem like a pretty cool card that you exile the top 4 and that you can cast any of them that have converted mana cost 5 or less. Typically in a red deck, this might be at the very end of your curve, and so casting a bunch of cheaper cards, hopefully you don't grab any lands in there, it's going to be able to do you some work. Okay, and then we have an island. Oh, and a horse token. That's pretty cool. I was looking for another one of these horse tokens. It goes with Crested Sunmare, which is a mythic rare, and I have one copy of it, and I wanted to get another one of the tokens. Well, my favorite card out of the pack is going to be easy for today, Fraying Sanity. I really, really like this card. I was hoping to get another one of them to put into my mill deck. What I found is that it's a really quick way to mill out the game, especially if you pair it with a Sphinx's Tutelage and other sorts of cards that are already going to mill cards from your opponent's deck into their graveyard. There have been a number of turns where I've been able to mill them for 5 or 6 cards, and then at end step they're going to mill another 5 or 6 cards based upon Fraying Sanity. It is a card that does have some value. Currently, Fraying Sanity is around $3.50 to about $3.75. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, subscribe and share. Take some time to tell me in the comments section what was your favorite or best card out of the pack. Until next time, when I'm back to crack the next pack in the Magic the Gathering Hour of Devastation Bundle Bingo.